I may have some really, really big news, and I think I may be the first person that talks about it publicly. So there's a question that I had watching all of season 4 so far, and that has to do with one character in particular, and that would be Phillip, otherwise known as Yoshi, right, who plays Phillip. This is something that I've been wondering for the last 4 weeks because we haven't seen him at all. And I've seen some questions from you guys and from different people being like, hey, like, where's Phillip? Is he not here? And so there's a bunch of different theories that I have as to why we haven't seen him yet. One, it could be really, really simple. One is that he just doesn't have any scenes yet. He just hasn't been a part of the scenes so far. Two is that he hasn't had any scenes because he's been dealing with the death of John the Baptist, which we also know is coming. But we don't really fully know. The third one is that Yoshi could no longer be playing Phillip. And that is pretty sad because I love Yoshi. I think he's been great to the cast and he's just been a cool guy. I've been able to talk with him when we've been on set and he's a really, really cool guy. Now, I don't know what the actual outcome of all of this is. I have no behind the scenes knowledge. All I'm doing is taking all of the stuff that I've seen online and I'm kind of putting it together. And so let's look at all of my evidence here to kind of look at where is Phillip. So this is where Yoshi has been. Yoshi has just been chilling at home, kind of doing different things. And we've seen him, having fun on Instagram. All of his Instagram has basically been this. He's been very quiet. No behind the scenes from Texas at all. No behind the scenes on The Chosen at all. In fact, he hasn't really posted a single thing about The Chosen since season 3 ended. So as we continue, he's just kind of having fun. Of course, we get Yoshi here. That's what he looks like, just to remember. And this is the only post that Yoshi has posted about The Chosen since the end of season 3. And this happened yesterday, I believe, or the day before. And so Yoshi hasn't posted anything about The Chosen at all, except for this post, which is a repost from someone else that basically tagged him in it. And he put a little heart there. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of different clips, and then we're going to dive into these clips, and I'm going to show you why I think they're important. But just pay attention and see if you notice something that I noticed here. So this is just the cast and crew sharing a happy birthday song over Austin, who plays Nathaniel. Obviously, he is probably actually my favorite out of all of them. I love the way that he plays Nathaniel. However, we do see all of the apostles here as well. But Brandon, I thought that you said you haven't seen Phillip. So if you're saying that we see all of the apostles here, then why aren't we seeing Yoshi? Well, let's continue on. So there was a few images that were actually put out by Jonathan Rumi as he's sharing about this scene and sharing, his perspective of going through this big day, having, this big week really of all of these moments, all these shots being done with this really, really big scene. Now, there are some other images that we see, and there are a bunch of people in the background here. Now, I know that Dallas has been extremely careful, in my opinion, of not sharing specific things or not doing specific things. But I do have an inclination, let's say, as we go into this. We see Jonathan here. We see the bunch of people behind him. But specifically, we see this person right here. Now, this person is extremely conspicuous to me. And it's very interesting to me because he seems to be... Let's just continue. Let's go. So just to remind you guys, this is what Yoshi looks like. This is what Phillip looks like. What can we see here? We see a belt around the waist. We see an orange tannish kind of headband that he wears around his neck pretty much at all times other than when he's wearing it as a headband. And then we also see this gray kind of vest that he wears over that tan outer garment. Real quick, before we continue on this video, I wanted to remind you that we're going to Israel in 2024. So if you want to join us in January, then you can go ahead and sign up with the link in the description down below. We're bringing some amazing hosts, Isaac David from Daily Disciple and John McCrae from What Do You Mean? Some of the most amazing Christian YouTube channels out there right now. And so we'd love for you to come and just experience the Holy Land with us as we get to teach you and experience it along with you. We'd love to see you over there and get to meet you guys in person in Israel. How amazing would that be? All right, let's get back to the video. So just as a reminder, this is what Yoshi looks like overall. But as we continue, this looks very similar to that, does it not? I mean, it looks different. Yeah, it looks different, but it looks very similar to that. The things that are different are the way in which the shoulder pads are kind of woven together. There's this black kind of piece on the shoulders on both sides, and the scarf around his neck is much longer than it was before. But the colors are very, very similar, like very similar to what Yoshi would have worn before. Now we see him again. Again, we see that this is a black and white version, but that the kind of thing that's around his neck, it looks to be some sort of headband, scarf thing. And again, I think the wardrobe is just changing slightly as we go through. Now, here was another big piece of evidence for me. Someone on the cast posted this photo right here, and they actually tagged Allah, who plays Simon Z, but they also mentioned this little thing on the bottom. It says, on the top it says main character vibes, and then Allah is tagged, and then on the bottom right, it actually shows Reza at the back. And so I recognized that person because I had seen him in all the behind the scenes. So then I looked up who Reza could possibly be, and I found him on Instagram. Turns out this is a guy named Reza Daiko, and he is an actor. He's been in a bunch of other things, but I found it very conspicuous that the only people from The Chosen that are following him are all of the apostles and the followers of Christ. So this is not some random extra. This is not some, I don't know, like some random throwaway character that's just part of this scene. It seems like every time we're seeing him, he is with the apostles. He is in a bigger scene. And I think that Dallas has been doing a great job of hiding him from us from the rest of the season so far. I think that he has been in some of these previous scenes, but Dallas has in particular kind of taken him out of the behind the scenes and brought in this other guy, Reza. So most likely, I don't know for sure. Again, I'm not saying this for sure. I don't have any inside information. It's just the stuff that I've been looking at. This is another big clue for me. This is something that we actually looked at last week. However, we didn't really think anything of it. In fact, I wasn't 100% sure what this was really about, but it looks like Yoshi is moving away from Texas. And so as we look at this, he says, anyone have good experiences with a moving company that can pick up in Austin, Texas? Remember, we saw this post last week, but we didn't really think anything about it. And so, yeah, I don't know. Just seems very strange to me that we haven't seen Yoshi. He's saying that he's going to be moving away or moving different places. And we see this new character that has very similar costuming to him. I don't know. Like I said, I could be wrong. I could be 100% wrong. I have no inside information. I am just guessing from what I see in the behind the scenes from everything that I've been coming up with. So don't take this as fact. Don't go around spreading this to all the social medias. It's just my guess, okay? He could be someone else. You guys are entirely correct. Yeah, he could be something else. He could be a different character entirely. It just seems very weird to me that he would be in a bus with main characters, that he would be in the scenes with other apostles, that Yoshi would be moving away, that Yoshi hasn't posted anything about The Chosen at all for this season so far, when everybody else seems to be posting like crazy. I don't know. It just seems very, very strange to me. We talk about the behind the scenes of Christian media, specifically The Chosen right now. We're going through a lot of behind the scenes for season 4. And so we're talking through a lot of this stuff. And one thing that we noticed a few weeks ago is that, well, Phillip hadn't really appeared in any of the behind the scenes, and we weren't sure exactly where he was at. More specifically, it became the fact that Yoshi was not in any of those scenes. And we started seeing this other character who later we found out was Reza Daiko, who is an actor who seems to have taken Yoshi's place. And this is something that we talked about, and I told you weeks ago, I could be completely wrong about this. It could just be something that, I'm just seeing myself and that I'm not 100% sure about, and that you leave it open. But that kind of caused a big storm last week for a bunch of people to come in and start slandering my name and saying that I was lying and I was making up stuff and that, what I saw was wrong and all of that. And that's perfectly fine. I opened myself up to that kind of criticism and all of that. But truth is that Yoshi is actually leaving The Chosen and that someone else, specifically Reza Daiko, is taking his place. So let me show you some of the evidence that we have for that this week and the confirmations that we have for that this week. There's more confirmations that I'm going to show you today, including a message from Yoshi's mother, including some of the stuff that we've seen behind the scenes on The Chosen, different things like that. I'm not going to bring up all of that, but I'm going to bring up specific things, 2 things this week, one from The Chosen and one thing that Yoshi just posted a few minutes ago that talks about it. So let's just dive in, and then I'll kind of give some of my understanding. You guys know I love Yoshi as a character. I thought he did a great job as Phillip, and obviously he was a big part of the show for the last 2 seasons. Obviously a monumentous character overall. But let's dive into this, and we'll do some more talking through it. So here is The Chosen's behind the scenes from this week. This is a video that Dallas posted. This is the first video that Dallas has posted with the new Phillip in it. So let's take a look at this and we'll kind of break it down. So right there, you can see him. We'll pause it in a second and we'll zoom in here. But this is a scene with all 12 of the disciples. There's no mistaking. There's all 12 of the disciples. In fact, actually, Chris Durbin talks about this behind the scenes. He says, we've got a scene here where we're shooting with Jesus and all 12 of the disciples. And this is this scene that we're talking about here. So there's no mistaking. This is all 12 of the disciples. This is from The Chosen side here.
Well, to be baptized with the baptism of which I will be baptized.
And again, there's Reza Daiko right there as we zoom in. That's him there. That's the new Phillip. So this is the guy that we're going to have to get used to as we start watching the show. And as we kind of go through, you can see that he looks very much like Phillip, but his clothing wise, but it is a little bit different here. Now, this is different than when we replaced, let's say, Big James, right? And we're going to jump into that in a second. But this is a pretty big deal. So that's from The Chosen side. We saw that earlier this week. And that's when I was like, oh, wow, they're actually showing it now. They're not like, it's not hidden anywhere. This is actually what's happening. And then this next one is from Yoshi himself. So just a few minutes ago, he posted this. And if you can't read it, I'll read it aloud for you. I know it's kind of a small words to put on the screen, but he says, "Hello, it is true. For professional and personal reasons, I will no longer be a part of The Chosen. First and foremost, I want to thank you, the fans. Our connection and your constant showering of love and support has seated me with a warmth that will forever nourish me. Meeting you out in the world and hearing how the show has personally enriched your lives continues to be the connective tissue between me and the good folk of this world. You inspire me to continue to die to self and discover the way. I hope you continue to follow my journey. I have a lot more to share with you. I could not have gotten where I am now without you and without The Chosen. I want to thank Dallas and Amanda for changing my life and entrusting me in this role of Phillip. I physically see and feel the impact Dallas's baby has had on humanity when you all approach me and share your stories. It is so positively overwhelming. I learned how a set operates. I learned how the infinite depths of my craft and many ways to approach it. And most importantly, the show operated as a vessel for God to demand that I begin to know him, to praise him, to enjoy him. My studies of scripture have and continue to chip away at all my excess marble. Finally, I want to thank the incredible crew. It was an absolute honor to be a part of your family. I learned so much from watching your passionate work and was spoiled by the kindness you managed to radiate whilst focused on the task at hand. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to each and every one of you. I will continue to be a fan and supporter of The Chosen. Let's all welcome and support the new Phillip, who has an exciting opportunity to bring himself to the character. I'm happy for him and the journey he is about to undertake. I love you, Yoshi." So, so obviously we've been waiting a long time for not a long time, a few weeks now for an understanding of what's happening. Now that we've gotten this, obviously this is a pretty big deal. And as the Chosen is saying in chat, I'm sure they will address it soon for sure. This is something that we've been waiting on for a while, for the last few weeks, to see if anybody's going to talk about it, right? And we didn't know what's going on behind the scenes, whether that's NDAs or they're just waiting for the right time. I thought maybe they would talk about it during 5 and 2 day, but that didn't happen either. So not 100% sure, when they're going to do that, but obviously in a future live stream in a month or so, they said Dallas will address it. So that's great. That's great. Now, what I don't want us to do is to like pry any more than this, right? We don't need to really figure out what exactly went on. We don't really need to figure out like, every intimate detail. This is just how it happened, right? And so me being who I am in the Chosen community and someone that likes to talk about behind the scenes, likes to talk about all these things, I think it's imperative, since I kind of started this conversation, to finish it here and talk through it, and just talk about Yoshi a little bit and talk about, how impactful he was to the show and kind of what's going on in the future. Now, let me talk about this post that he's made. It seems as if this was his choice, right? A lot of us were kind of speculating behind the scenes. A lot of you were posting different places, tagging me different places, asking kind of what's going on. I have no insight into that, but I mean, it really does seem like he walked away. It doesn't seem like, he was fired from the show or something else happened. It seems like it was his choice for personal and professional reasons, is what he states here. And so, I know like a lot of you are going to have this reaction, like Jessica, right? My heart is a little broken right now. I can't imagine Phillip ever being the same again. The truth is, right, Yoshi is not the original Phillip, right? He's just an actor who plays the character. And he did his best in that role, and obviously a lot of you have connected with him because of the role that he had. However, another actor can fill that role, and there are other actors that could fill any of the roles, right? Now, it's hard to imagine, obviously, because we haven't seen any of that yet, but I guarantee you by the time that this show is done, season 7, you're going to be so used to this new character of Phillip that you're going to be totally fine. It'll be completely normal at that point. So really don't worry about it. It will be okay. But obviously we all have a special part in our hearts for Yoshi and the way that he played Phillip, the way that he was able to care for Matthew and kind of walk through that. And a lot of that has to do with the writing, but a lot of that has to do with how Yoshi played the character as well. Now, me personally, I got to spend some time with Yoshi on set and just got to talk to him for a bit. And I messaged him personally yesterday, and I was just like, hey man, like, thank you for, just encouraging me. Cause I remember we had a conversation just about us in the Chosen space and what we do on our channel. And he was very thankful for what we did on our channel. And so I was just telling him like, hey, thanks for that encouragement. Like I'll always remember that time that we just got to sit and chat with you. It was really cool. So thank you for that. And yeah, he's just a cool guy overall, just to be able to talk with. And so, yeah, he's definitely going to be missed. But again, if you're not part of our normal Sunday night live streams, this just is another opportunity for you to maybe be a part of that, be a part of some of the content that we make. We try to be very diligent with what we talk about in terms of what we, are accurate with and what we talk through. If I talk about something, it's because I think it's useful, not just because it's a random thing that I want to talk about. Just like this live stream here, I wasn't planning on going live today, but I knew that I needed to talk about this because we kind of started this whole issue a couple weeks ago. So if you want to be a part of our sleuthing, if you want to be a part of our detective club where we look at the behind the scenes of the Chosen and talk through all these things, maybe this gives us a little bit of credibility, right? Kind of talking through that stuff. But let's talk about the implications that this has for the Chosen overall. The Chosen is going to change. It's just the fact, right? So I don't know if this will affect the writing for Phillip at all. I mean, I can't imagine that it won't, right? I can't imagine that this is not going to change the writing for Phillip at all. I mean, it's going to be the same character, but obviously a new actor coming to that role is going to change things, whether that be now or in the future seasons, right? I wonder how they have adapted Reza to be this new character kind of coming in. It's interesting to see, but yeah, I don't know. My guess is that a lot of people are going to have a hard time with this at first. A lot of you guys are going to have grieved the loss of Yoshi, and wondering kind of what's happening now. Who is this new guy? How are they going to introduce him to us? They have to kind of do that in a good way, right? In order for you guys to accept this new person. It's going to be hard. I totally get it. It's going to be a hard thing. But it's still going to be the Chosen, right? Phillip was never a super main role, right? He had obviously a big part in the show, but he was never like, imagine if they replaced Jonathan Rumi, right? Like that would be completely crazy. Phillip being in the role that he is a role that is definitely doable to replace someone in, no matter how callous that kind of seems from, coming from me. But yeah, I think him as a character is someone that can be replaced and someone that we're going to get used to, this new Phillip. And I hope they do a great job of giving him these moments of character growth, not only for the character of Phillip, but also so that we can see Reza playing this new character in a way that, will help us to resonate with him, if that makes sense. So yeah. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this whole thing. And yeah, it's man, it's an interesting thing. I mean, what are you supposed to do, if there's really personal issues and professional issues behind the scenes that Yoshi couldn't deal with, then of course we wouldn't want him to stay in that situation, right? We would want him to I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to speculate because there's nothing that I could do to say what's going on in the situation. I have no behind the scenes knowledge of that. So anyway, definitely check out our stuff behind the scenes every Sunday night at 6:30. If you guys are not part of that crew that comes into our live streams and hangs out with us, I would love to have you there. This Sunday night, we're going to be breaking through all of week 6 and talking about the behind the scenes of everything that's going on. If you want to support this channel so that we can continue to do stuff like this, so that I can continue to go on a random live stream in the middle of a Thursday, then it would be amazing if you guys would support us over on Patreon, patreon.com/thesnipelife. This is the best way that you can help to support us. $5, $10, or $25 a month, and you guys can get all the live streams that we do in the past. So what we normally do is we do a long live stream, and then we cut that up into YouTube videos to put on YouTube. And so if you want to see the full live streams that are unedited, they have everything in there, even the moments when we deal with trolls or talk about jokes or just mess around, answering questions for the Chosen Season 4. There's a bunch of stuff in there that I don't put on YouTube because it's just in the live stream by itself. So if you do want to support us, that would be amazing. And I love you guys very much. Anyway, Yoshi's gone. I know that kind of stinks, but as we all kind of grieve that and go through that, it is just a show at the end of the day, right? It's not like Phillip is disappearing from the show overall. It's not like, the Bible is hurt by this. At the end of the day, as we always talk about, The Chosen is just a show. So, while it's sad, we got to kind of move past that. Anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. So Dallas just introduced us to our new Phillip, who we've been talking about on this channel for a little while, Reza Diaco, or Daiko, however you want to say that. Here's our first introduction to Reza overall. Let's check it out. Here we go.
Topics, but we've got some fun stuff coming up right after this. So this is about 2 minutes or so. Yeah, conversation that Durbin had with Reza. Here's Reza, your new Phillip.
Right here we have
Reza Diaco.
And Reza is going to be Phillip. So welcome to the cast as Phillip, dude.
Thank you.
We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about that moment. You got the call. You're going to be Phillip.
Well, the moment was really... I'll tell you about the moment. I was in bed, and suddenly I got a call from my agent, and I nearly had a heart attack, and then I celebrated for a very long time afterwards.
So, and you've been trying to get on the show for years. Like, what does that mean? Like, did you...
That's interesting to hear. Someone that's interested in the show. I'm glad about that, for sure. We'll talk about this more as we go through, but I want to hear this.
Audition for other roles?
I auditioned for other roles, yes. So many of them.
I think you were telling me earlier, Phillip actually was one of your favorite characters.
He was, yeah. Because in so many ways, it's very similar to me, living a nomadic life. I lived in 4 different countries, and so kind of being a bit of a person who's lived various different lives and showing up and living a life of value and faith and feeling a little offbeat and misunderstood, but still kind of stumbling along.
How excited are you for cameras to roll on your take as Phillip?
Extremely. I'm confused a little because it's difficult to, fill in the wonderful footsteps of the previous Philip. But I am very excited to kind of, I've had discussions with the director, and I'm very excited to bring my own take to the wonderful character Philip, which I feel very close to personally. I've always been moving towards working on projects like this, and this particular one, with the message it gives about faith, but also about humanity.
He's being kind of vague about that. I wonder what kind of faith he holds, right? I feel like a Christian's perspective, you would blatantly say, like, you wouldn't just say faith. You would be more direct than that. So I wonder what his faith is.
Very, very important to me, and I'd like to go on a personal spiritual journey as much as I go through the process of serving the characters.
Well, Reza, thank you so much. We're super excited to have you. Season 4, right here.
That's interesting. So Dallas does say in the live stream as well that they let Yoshi go. So a lot of people were thinking that Yoshi left the show for different reasons, but it looks like they let Yoshi go. So he made that pretty clear. He said it pretty quickly, but he did say it there. Real quick, as I was editing this video, I realized it may come off in the wrong way. And so I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. We don't need to know why Yoshi was fired. We don't need to know what is going on in the situation. I don't know. And so through all of this, like, you have to let that kind of stuff go. We have a new Phillip here, and that's all that we really need to know. So let's move forward from that. Don't ask any more questions that need to be asked. Don't push Dallas on these things. He's never going to answer that because it's very personal, I'm sure. Don't rumor or like hypothesize what could be going on. Just allow it to be what it is. And that is that Yoshi is gone and we have a new Phillip and Reza Diaco. So let's just focus on that overall. Okay, I just wanted to say that, make sure we're all on the same page. I don't want to see a million comments in my comment section asking why this happened, if I know, blah, 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 blah. No, we don't need to, right? So just let's leave it there. And so good to see Reza Diaco on the docket. I'm really interested to see where he goes from here, and how well he actually does, how well the community kind of comes to accept him as the new Phillip. We've seen him in a bunch of these different scenes so far, but we really haven't heard him do any acting. So I'm excited to see where that comes from. And of course, The Chosen's going to hire the best person for the job. So I hope that's the case.